My name is Noah Kinigstein, and I'm a painter, and I've been painting for my whole life, basically. So I grew up on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and then I've lived up in Inwood for now. My children were born here, or in Washington Heights, and then we moved up here, and they lived here, and they went to school here. And so we've been up here a long, long time, eating a lot of Grandpa's pizza. I've been influenced by the Impressionists, by the Renaissance painters, by the German Expressionists, any and all different kinds of painting where somebody sits down and tries to express something that means something to them. So if it's a religious theme, I'm always looking at, what are they really talking about here? I look at that very carefully. And of course, the great painters, Rembrandt and Tintoretto and all the different great painters I look at and love. It's not hard to do. Sometimes it's hard to get what you want, but it's not hard to sit down and paint for me. It's easy. I can paint anywhere. I usually use photographs because I'm not, I do it in bits and pieces, basically. I don't sit down and execute a painting in one shot. It takes me a long time to finish a painting. It has to be the right photograph, and I have to start with the drawing. Then you lay down the basic contours of the drawing, the color, the basic shapes, and then you keep refining it. And after you get the drawing done, or the initial painting, which is sometimes I leave it alone sometimes, but usually I then start painting, really painting, like trying to figure out maybe the hair doesn't flow exactly like that, but I want it to look differently than the photograph. That's the real painting, I think, It's and what you want to do is capture your feeling in the way you adopt the painting. Inwood has a lot of artists. It's, a lot of artists are up here. In our building, there are opera singers, and down below is the guy who does Inwood Arts. And he's very, he shows movies down at Hudson. So I think it's a very creative neighborhood. And there's always something going on artistically here. I feel very comfortable here as an artist, that there's always something happening, and people are very interested in art in the neighborhood, like Grandpa's, but there are a lot of other places that are showing art as well. I've done a lot of sort of what you would call political kind of pictures, of images of things that I've seen that move me. Immigrants who are coming up to the United States, going through the Darien Gap. There's a lot of feeling there that I have for these pictures. I've done a lot of pictures of the neighborhood, all different kinds of things. So I'm very involved with what's going on day to day in the world. And I try to find images that I can use to express my feelings about what I'm looking at. I'm thinking, I'm ruminating, I'm looking at colors, I'm depending, how should I do this? I painted pictures of people I admire. I love the painting I did of my wife. I did a portrait of her that I think has a lot of feeling in it, So I've done a lot of paintings, but I love that painting in particular. It was a hard painting to do because it's hard to have your deepest feelings come out in a portrait. It's very hard to do. And a lot of times I fail, but I don't think I failed in that case. I think it's a really good painting. I would never sell it. Also, she would hurt me if I did that. So the paintings that are at Grandpa's are a mixture of older and newer paintings. They're small. I've done a lot of very large paintings, but these are all pretty small. And they reflect all different kinds of techniques, from very realistic to a little bit more like, fantastic, like ideas I have. The one about the green umbrellas is not fully realistic. It's more like playing around with the color of the umbrellas and, like just a beautiful day, right? What I tried to pick out was something that was very familiar to people and that they could look at easily. Nothing too demanding. I'm doing a painting now that I've been working on for a long time of a building, and on the top of the building is a huge sign that says evil. It's like for a movie, right? It's the movie Evil. I like this image. As I got into it more, I realized it's a New York building. It's kind of friendly, and I started to fill in the windows with little things so you knew that people were in there. And this building is coming up out of a garden. And then you have evil on the top, this huge sign. And there's a contradiction between the sign and the rest of the painting. And I think that that contradiction is something I let people think about. People are sitting on top of us talking about evil things, and we're living our lives. And the evil sign is up there, but we're as powerful as the evil sign. It's gotta be fun. It just gotta be fun. So that a lot of people start out painting and say, oh, it doesn't look like what I'm looking at, you know? And I think that you're right, it won't look like that, because nobody starts out being able to make a perfect drawing of what they're looking at. The question is to have fun and to try to figure out how to get a skill set that you feel comfortable with. And it takes time, like learning a language. So I think the main thing is that people should sit down with a pencil or crayons or whatever they have, and just play around with it. Look at the colors. Like in watercolor, the first class I ever went to is they said, take the water, take the paints, put the brush in the color, and see how it moves on the paper itself. Just color itself, just looking at color coming off of a brush is very fun. It's interesting. There's a lot of technique, but don't get all wrapped up in technique or like that it doesn't look like what I want it to look like. Go with the flow and take your time and have fun doing it. Drawing is the fundamental, right? If you can't draw, you're gonna have a very hard time painting, I think. Unless you're just gonna do, splashes and things like that. That's easier. But if you wanna represent something, you really need to have a basic understanding of drawing perspective, things of the shadow. I wanna thank Grandpa's for letting me put up my paintings. I think it's fantastic that you're interested in doing that, and I think it's great for the neighborhood. And the pizza's good.